What's up, guys? My name is Robert Wensley, CEO of InvestorLift. This time last year, I had negative $5,000 in my bank account. I was thinking about becoming an Uber driver just to pay my bills. In the last 12 months, I built a multi-million-dollar real estate software company, and I am one of the passionate few.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of The Passionate Few. It's your host Omar here, and today we are on location, waterfront here in Dubai, with none other than my good friend, none other than the CEO of InvestorLift, Robert Wensley, to hear his incredible story about how in 12 months he turned his life and business around. So thanks so much for being on the show today, Robert.
Let's crush it.
Absolutely,
Let's break
man.
the internet. Hopefully I can add some value and share some crazy, insane stories.
Yeah, man. It's going to be awesome because you built this multi-million-dollar company really fast.
Really fast.
And you got an awesome team. I've met your whole team. We're out here in Dubai. You've also recently become a client who we're helping with content.
Yep.
So we came out here with this beautiful setup. But today, I kind of want to dig into your story a little bit.
Yeah.
And can you give the audience a little bit of context as to how you got into entrepreneurship? I know you actually graduated from Harvard too. So you got
Don't hold it against me, though.
So I know you got this incredible resume, but talk to me. Before we talk about this epic Dubai trip where we spent, almost 200 grand.
Like in 2 weeks.
Freaking epic with Ferraris and Lamborghinis and Rolls Royces and helicopters and all sorts of stuff. We'll probably play some B-roll if you want to cut to the clip. But talk to me, where did entrepreneurship begin for you as a kid, and sort of how did the ball start getting rolling for you in business early on?
Yeah, so when I was growing up, my dad made pretty decent money. He was an executive for oil business, but he always pretended that we were like the poorest people out there. Like I remember he gave me like 25 cents once. I don't know if they do this in the US, but in Canada, when you have a grocery cart, if you don't return your grocery cart, like when you return it, you put it back in and gives you 25 cents back. And like he gave me 25 cents once, and that was like about the extent of all the money I got growing up. So if I wanted to have nice things, I need to find ways to make money. I remember like when I was in the 5th grade, the teachers association or the parents association of the school, they banned all the vending machines in the school, and I was thinking, there's an opportunity here. I went to a store, started buying bulk chocolate bars, candy bars, pop, chips, bubble gum, and selling it out of my locker. Eventually, my locker got so full, I ended up leasing someone else's locker out, like multiple lockers, just
crazy.
Stacked with pop chips. So I was always doing these like kind of like side hustles. Had a clothing business, photography business. Was always kind of doing these kind of side hustles. But after I graduated, I wanted to do something that was actually going to be really big and wasn't just a hustle. I wasn't just like, having to grind every day. And I saw that the people in my life that were successful that were doing it, and a lot of those guys did it in software. So I decided, hey, software is the route that I want to go.
And so if your vision was like, all right, I had a little bit of success in business, but you want to do a bigger play, and then you thought software was the vehicle for like the big play, the $100 million play, or whatever the number is for
100%.
you, right? Okay. Now, because I know it's in real estate, it's like a real estate software.
Yeah.
It's called InvestorLift. You guys have thousands of clients all over the country. It's exploding. But talk to me, how did you sort of evolve into that? Because I know your first foray into software wasn't exactly what you're doing now, right?
Yeah, no. So it's funny, when I was graduating from college, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Originally going through school, I was planning to go work on Wall Street, because all the guys I knew whose dads were like super rich, they all worked as like investment bankers. And so I tried to reverse engineer that path. But as I got closer to graduation, I felt like I was climbing the wrong ladder. I was doing these internships, working for these financial companies, and you're just working like 100 hours a week, and it's not a lot of fun,
Right.
And I'm like, I could either do that, or option number 2 is I could try to start my own business. I remember watching Tariq Al-Musa's show, who you've had on the Passionate Few a couple times.
Shout out Tariq,
Yeah, shout out to Tariq. And I remember watching his show in college. I'm like, man, this guy makes like $50,000 or $100,000 per deal. If I could just figure out how to do that, then I could easily make just as much, if not more, than I would on Wall Street. But be my own boss, have a lot more control over my time, not have to work as much, and do something that was a little bit more fun. So I started working for a house flipper initially. My plan was to go work there for 3 years, learn how to flip houses,
How old
and
were you
then
at
go
this
do it on
time?
my own. So I think I was like, this is like my early 20s, like 22 to like 25, probably something like that.
So this is after you get out of college.
After I
and
got out of
kinda-
college, yeah.
And I want to backtrack a little bit because I know you ended up going to Harvard, which most people trip out about.
Yeah.
How the heck did you get into Harvard? Like, because that's freaking, most people fantasize, dream about that. How did you do that? What lessons did you learn?
I think
in
what
that?
you got to
Sure.
do is in anything, you just got to find people, whatever goal you have. A lot of people look at certain goals and they're like, oh, that would be impossible for me, right? But if you look at the most successful people, like Tony Robbins says this all the time, if you want to be one of the most successful people in the world, you want to achieve whatever goal it is, no matter how big it is, all you got to do is go find people that have already done that, find the steps that they took to go achieve those goals, and then just reverse engineer it. Follow the game plans already exist there out in the universe for anything you want to achieve in life. And all you got to do is go find those game plans, reverse engineer them, and apply them to your life. So that's my advice for achieving anything.
So did you reverse engineer sort of how to get into Harvard, or what was the plan?
Yeah, pretty much. Actually, I didn't go directly in. I started off at another college, and then I ended up doing some summer programs, and then I actually transferred in. I didn't transfer my credits over. I had to start all over,
Yeah.
completely fresh, because they're pretty strict about credit transfers and everything.
Right.
So it set me a couple years back, but I figured, hey, you know what, it's worth it.
So what was the plan? You got you went to like a JC and then transferred into Harvard?
I did like 2 summer programs, and then I started talking to some of the faculty there, and they're like, hey, we have this special like transfer program. If you're interested, you should check it out. We think you'd be a really good fit. I was also very involved in like the school community. I was running a bunch of events and stuff in the summer.
Did you get good grades?
You know, that's a good question. I got really good grades in the stuff that I was interested in, and the stuff that I wasn't interested in, I would just let go kind
Not
of
so
thing.
much.
You know, like, and
Yeah.
I see that's pretty common with most entrepreneurs. It's like, if we see that, hey, this is going to be useful for our life, we go all in on it. But if it's just like you know, like history of civilization, I'm like, dude, I don't need to know which freaking date like Spain conquered whatever country. That's
Right.
useless information. I can look it up on my phone. Hey Siri, it's just completely useless. So on the stuff like business courses, things like that, I did really well. But on other courses, I was just like, did the bare minimum just to get by.
Yeah. And then the last question I have, because I know most people are curious about this, is what did you notice about the type of people that go to Harvard? Is it that they're naturally more gifted, they're smarter, they're just more disciplined? I mean, what can you deduce from that? Because I'm sure there's a lot of wisdom you picked up from that.
Absolutely. So I think that one of the misconceptions I think is that people that like go to like top universities, that they're like super intelligent brainiacs. What I find is the people that, you know, go to college like that versus go to regular colleges, I don't think one is any more like smarter on average than the other. What I find is the people that go to those top schools, they're just a lot more focused and a lot more disciplined. Like the level of discipline they have is insane. Like I remember we had an events business and we were throwing these big events and we'd have like, you know, 800 people coming out to this event. We're bringing a DJ from like Holland to go perform. But my buddy's that's organizing the whole event. His organic chemistry finals like the next day. He's like, sorry, bro, I can't come. I'm like, what do you mean? We've been planning this for like 3 months. He's like, dude, I got my organic chemistry final tomorrow. I can't do it. Like that level of discipline, just being like focused on what your end goal is. He wanted to get into med school. And so, you know, he didn't go to the party so he could make sure he got a good grade so he could go and achieve his goals. So just having a really high level of discipline and focus, saying no to things. I remember in high school, I used to like say yes to everything. You know, I was a photographer, I was in all these different clubs, I was in 4 bands. I was spreading myself way too thin. Once I got into college, I started becoming even more and more focused. And you've probably seen this with a lot of entrepreneurs you've had on the show, is it's not about what you do, it's more about what you say no to. You have to say no to 99% so that when you find that 1% that is really interesting, that is where you can have a really big impact and really like go towards whatever goal it is that you're trying to get, you can go all in on that. And that's one of the things that I learned from, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs and applied to my life that I thought was just had probably the biggest impact on anything we did.
Nice. And then I know you got, you know, after Harvard, you got the opportunity to go into investment banking, and then you had like a pivotal moment with an investment banker. Can you talk a little bit about that and how pivotal that was? I think it's going to be very valuable.
Actually, this is a really interesting story. So So I was doing summer internships working for financial services companies and didn't really like it. You know, you think it's going to be all Wolf of Wall Street, but it's kind of like, you ever watch like those like TikToks where it's like, you know, it's like Instagram versus reality.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
you watch like Wolf of Wall Street and you're like, oh man, this is so sexy. But in reality, you're just sitting there like cold calling people all day long and doing Excel spreadsheets, and it's like boring as hell. It's like a really boring job. Now, when I graduated, I was interviewing with different financial services companies trying to get a really good job. And I hit up the Harvard alumni directory, and I called up this one guy who was the head of private banking in Washington, D.C. And I did an interview with him. At the end of the interview, he said, Robert, I will offer you a job if you want it, and you will make over 6 figures a year right out of college. The dream. I've been working towards this my whole life, trying to make 6 figures
Yeah.
right out of college, right? It seems like the jackpot. But at the same time, I was starting to have that hesitation in the back of my mind, like, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to do this? But I already kind of felt like I was committed to that path. So, you know, I'm just like working towards it, but still in the back of my head questioning it. And he says, I will give you this job. You'll make $100,000 plus per year, but you shouldn't take the job. I said, why? He said, Robert, you know, I've been graduated 15, 20 years now. He said, there's a lot of people like myself, when we graduated, we went to financial services, worked in finance, and I'm telling you, it's a grind. You're going to work your ass off, and at the end of the day, it's not a lot of fun. You will have some success. You'll have nice cars. You'll have nice houses. He said, there's another group of people that I went to school with. They started their own businesses. And yeah, the first few years, they really struggled. A lot of people, you know, doubt them and think that, you know, they're going to zero or whatever. But a few of them do. A few of them, you know, entrepreneurship is very difficult. A lot of people do fail. So the second group are the people that actually went out and started their own businesses. And those people, in the early days, they struggle a lot more. And it seems like their friends that are working on Wall Street are making a lot more money than they are. But eventually they figure something out. Eventually they hit it. If they just keep on working towards whatever it is, eventually they hit it. And those guys end up making way, way more money and also having a way, way better lifestyle than working, you know, a conventional 9-to-5 for a financial company or, you know, any other type of job where you're basically selling your time.
I love that. So you're saying, like, on a long enough time horizon, that even though one makes the money quick and a long enough time horizon, that entrepreneurs, if they keep going, eventually something kind of will click. Crucial for people watching or listening, men and women around the world, because I'm sure there might be like opportunities right in front of you guys, but something in your heart is saying like, you know, maybe take the path less traveled, but it's less clear. So in that moment when he tells you that, when he tells you, hey, don't take this job, you should start your own business, what's the first thing that goes through your mind?
I need to start figuring out how to flip houses.
and that was like not that long ago, right? Because you're what, 30 years of age right now, almost 31?
I'm 30, so that was maybe 7 years ago. Yeah. And then literally the next day initially I was thinking that I'm going to learn real estate on my own, because I looked at some stats on like how I was like studying how, again, trying to reverse engineering, because everything that I'd done up to that point was reverse engineering people that were very successful. And I started looking at stats, and I saw this one stat that just hit me in the head like a freaking baseball bat. And there's a stat from the IRS that 90% of millionaires over the last 200 years have made their money in real estate investing. So I'm like, damn, like I got to do that. So I started initially thinking I'm going to just go out there and do deals on my own, but I didn't know how to find off-market deals. I didn't have any money to buy deals. I had like almost zero construction expertise. So after a few weeks, I was just kind of like, okay, this is kind of dumb. I don't know how to find deals. Even if I found a deal, I don't have the money to pay for it. And even if I found the money, I don't have the construction expertise. So there's probably a good chance I'm going to lose a lot of money. And I got student bills to pay, things like that. So I was thinking maybe I should buy some courses, but again, I didn't have money for courses. So I was like, where can I get free education while also, you know, learning the business? And so my plan was then to go work for a company for 3 years. Almost like I consider it like my master's degree in entrepreneurship. I learned the business and then go do it on my own. So I started just calling house flippers and real estate investors and pitching them and saying, hey, just graduated, I'm smart, I'll work hard for you. I'll stay for 3 years. Then on full disclosure, I'm going to leave and do it on my own. But you'll have 3 years of me working my ass off for you and making you a lot of money.
So your vision was, I want to make a lot of money. You went into Harvard and then tried investment banking. And the guy literally tells you in the interview, we'd love to hire you, right? What did he say verbatim?
Literally, I remember word for you where he said, I'll give you the job, but don't take it.
And this is
he
you
was
putting
being
your whole
completely
life
serious.
into this.
And this is like like one of the heads of the firm. And I think he was being honest with me because I was alumni, and I initially reached out to him just for informational interview, kind of like what we're doing now. I'm like, hey, can I just interview and talk, like ask about the pros and cons, and we talked for like hours and hours. And at the very end of it, he's like, dude, I'll give you a job, but don't take it. He's like, if you want it, I'll give it to you. It's there. I would love to have you. It's in my own self-interest to have a really smart Harvard grad. We spend hundreds of thousands of dollars every year trying to recruit people of these schools to come work for us. So it was in his best interest. But I think once you get to that level and you've already kind of made it, I think you see this a lot. You probably see this a lot in your interviews with really successful entrepreneurs that just kind of like they already have it all. There's this natural tendency where you want to give back and give honest feedback and help the next generation get to where you are. And I think that's what was happening there.
And so he tells you that, I'm sure you're shook and you're like, dang, take it to heart. And then you're like, all right, well, what am I going to do then? Because you just put all this time and energy.
Yeah.
And then you go and do your research, kind of like you said, and you're like, all right, real estate is the vehicle, but I don't know how to do real estate. I don't know.
100%.
And it's probably a lot of people watching this, they go, dang, I want to make a lot of money. You look at different industries and you go, but I don't have the expertise. I don't know tech. I don't know how to code. I don't know how to program. I don't have money to invest. How do I, like, where am I? Like, you're lost in space, right?
Yeah.
So what's the first thing you did? Did you go, okay, let me write a list of all the different avenues of real estate? Let me call people. I mean, walk us through that, because I'm sure there's men and women around the world who are in that transitional phase of trying to sort of leap from not knowing to an opportunity.
Yeah, so there's always going to be this like time period of discovery. And a lot of times you think you're going to go in one direction and you'll start going in that direction and you'll start getting more information. As you start getting more information, whatever plan you have will start clarifying. Okay, so I went initially down the route of I'm going to go find my first real estate deal, find an investor, find a contractor. As I started going down that route, after a couple of weeks, I realized, okay, this is crazy. I am so in over my head, and I'm graduating in like 10 days. Like I need a better plan.
Yeah.
And that's where I started thinking about it. I'm like, okay, I need more knowledge. I need more education. And I shifted my plan. And any entrepreneur, the most successful ones, what they do is as soon as they have a direction they want to go in, they start pushing towards that direction immediately. Like literally, I got off that phone call, within 2 hours, I was looking for deals. Like right away, taking massive action right away. And then as soon as I started getting more information, realizing like, hey, this isn't the best strategy, then I shifted direction. You kept on shifting direction. I'm still shifting direction every day.
So you were just taking imperfect actions forward.
Yes.
How important is it in entrepreneurship, particularly when you're starting out, to take imperfect action? Because there's a lot of people listening to this that might have inclinations to do things, right? But they'll go, oh, but what would I say? If I called a real estate investor, what would I say?
Yeah.
How could I help? But there's
I fumbled the first 20 calls I did.
Right.
My name is, click.
Yes.
Like, or didn't even get the gatekeeper on the phone, like didn't even get past the secretary.
I love
But
that.
eventually I kept on working on it. I actually had this list of like a stack of names. And I started with the ones where I'm like, okay, if I mess these ones up, it's okay. These are kind of like my practice rounds.
Yeah, the buffer. Yeah.
And just kind of figure out how do I get to the gatekeeper and how do I, get in. So just taking perfect. What's interesting is, so at InvestorLift, at the highest level of our software, which is very expensive, our top 2 tiers of our software, we got a bunch of different tiers, 3 different tiers, but the highest tier of our software is $36,000. And to be able to buy that, you have to get nominated by 3 other existing users. You have to send P&Ls or HUDs proving you're doing at least $250,000 a month just to be able to buy it. Okay, it's probably the most exclusive real estate software out there. And so when I have these interviews with these top real estate investors across the country, I start seeing these patterns emerge. Okay, and the patterns that I see emerging are the faster they make the buy decision, the faster they make it, usually the faster they end up growing their revenue once they get onto the platform. Like I remember Nick Perry. Are you familiar with Nick Perry?
Of course, yeah.
Down in Austin, Texas. I started giving him a demo, and usually a demo lasts an hour. Literally 15 minutes into the demo, he's like, all right, I don't need to see anything else. Here's my credit card. I'm like, what? I haven't even showed you 3 cards. He's like, I know there's no possible way I'm not going to get return on investment on this. Swipe my credit card. Here's the contact info for my head of operations. Teach them how to use it. We're going to crush it with this. And then I have some guys that, they come on, I talk to them, and I show them what the value is, the value proposition, the hum and haw, and maybe think about it for a few days. And they come on, but they're not massive action takers. And they're still growing, but they're not growing nearly as fast as those massive action takers. Over and over again, not just in the real estate business, but in any other business in the software game, the guys that crush it, they'll come up with an idea, and literally within hours, they have a landing page up selling a product that isn't even built yet.
Right. Yeah.
Taking deposits for a product that isn't even built yet.
Yeah.
Just to see if people actually want it before spending hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars building it. And then if, they get enough deposits, then they'll go out and actually build it,
And
And
if not, they'll just refund.
If they're not, they just refund everyone and say, sorry, we decided not to do it.
So they're fast testers, movers,
Test.
shakers. One thing I learned from Grant Cardone too, I love that you say that, is that you can tell a lot about an entrepreneur if you gauge and measure it by the time between an idea and monetization. Like, how big is that gap? Some people think of a business idea and it takes 12 months to make the first dollar. Some people think of a business idea and 12 hours later have sold one of them, right?
Yes.
It's like, how much can you kind of collapse that time horizon and then sequentially do that? Because, people say, like, everyone in their lifetime who has, if you make $50,000 a year, you'll make $1 million. It'll just take 20 years to make it. So if you can kind of collapse that by building more value into the time, then you can kind of create much more of an income
100%.
Opportunity for yourself. So I love that you say that.
I think that one of the saddest things is when you see people that are maybe older and they, they'll see some guy on like Shark Tank or whatever, and they're like, hey, I had that idea 20 years ago. I'm like, but an idea is worthless unless you take massive action.
And build and fail and bump into the walls and get people on board and get money and
You have to take massive action, because when you take massive action, what happens is you start gaining more information really, really quickly. And the more information you make, the more pivots you're going to make until you find the perfect path.
And I know now with your company InvestorLift, you guys have real estate wholesalers around the country, real estate investors doing $1 million plus a month that you guys have helped scale. People go from 0 to 100,000, 100,000, 200, 500, $1 million, $2 million plus.
Yeah, Tarek, I had his COO on.
Tarek Musa from
Flip or Flop
on HGTV.
Yeah, I had him on one of the podcasts I did, and he came on, and this was about 8 months after he came on. He wasn't really wholesaling at all. Month one, he did 40,000, then he did 200, then 500, then 700, and I think $1 million, and then 1.3. That was just like last summer through fall. I had him on a podcast in January. I asked him, hey, what did your team put on the board last month? He's like, dude, we put 2.7 million on the board last month with just 5 guys on their team. It's insane. No one in the country had ever done numbers like this, but we just empower them with better data, better information, and give them basically the unfair advantage in the marketplace, and they just freaking crush it.
So talk to me a little bit about how you got into real estate wholesaling, because obviously, you cold called, you kind of went through this up and down journey. And then you kind of get into real estate wholesaling, you do that for a while, you have a little bit of success there, and then you go, you see a problem in the market, right? Business is about solving problems, and that kind of turns into the software play, which now is helping thousands of people all around the country. So I love that marriage, but talk to me, how did you land on real estate, wholesaling real estate and real estate investing, and why do you think that was a vehicle that worked for you, A, and B, why do you think so many people now are getting into it? Because of the ease of access, income opportunity compared to, other avenues. Talk to me about that sort of marriage.
So what's interesting is a lot of I think a lot of the things that you have the most success with are not necessarily an idea that hits you in your head. It's usually you're trying to solve a big problem. Okay, so when I started at this house flipping business, initially I got hired as a salesperson. After the first day, CEO was like, hey, how'd things go? And I'm like, dude, your data and your tech suck. But I can fix it. So I can either stay on as a salesperson for you and maybe make you a few $100,000 a year, or if you want, I can pivot into helping you with your marketing, data, and tech, and maybe make you a few $1 million. And he said, okay, let's do it. So literally the second day, I completely changed my job role, and we started pumping marketing. And we went from flipping a few deals at a time to, I think at one point we had 60 flips that we were managing at a time. So we thought we were being really successful, right? Manage 60 flips at a time. But what happens is when you're doing that many projects, the amount of complexity you have to manage, I think there was like over 100 direct and indirect employees of the business at the time. Just massively scaled. Huge office packed out. And the problem was, it's easy to manage 1 or 2 or 5 flips at a time, but when you're trying to do 60 at a time, it's almost impossible. So everything was going over time, going over budget. And at the end of the year, we weren't making any money. Like, got to the point where, like, by like Christmas the first year, I'm thinking like, geez, am I gonna have a job in January? Like, I'd walk past the business owner's office and like, they're talking about, okay, like, who do we downsize? Like, it was getting pretty tight, and I didn't even know about wholesaling, and until I started diving into the company's data. So I knew the company wasn't doing very well. Because we're growing the curse of growing too fast. Okay, a lot of businesses hit this, growing too fast.
And this was one of the guys you cold called and asked for an
Yes.
opportunity in your phase of.
And he just brought me in. He said, "Come in, talk to my CEO tomorrow." And the next day, I ended up started the job.
So you called a bunch of people looking for an opportunity because you saw this real estate being a vehicle.
Yeah.
No clue exactly what you were doing, just took imperfect action, got a bunch of no's, fumbled, bumped into the walls. Finally, somebody said yes. You get in the door, and now you're in
Now
this.
we're blowing it up.
Yeah.
But we blew it up so fast that we almost bankrupted the company.
Yeah, and you're learning all this, and you're in your mid-20s at this point,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And so I'm looking at the company's data, and we always, when we had a deal, we'd put in how much we thought we were going to make on the deal versus how much we actually did at the end. And I see that there's this cluster of deals where the estimated actual profit are the same. I'm like, well, what the hell are these? They're like, oh, just ignore it. Those are the wholesale deals. I'm like, wholesaling? What the hell is that? And they explained wholesaling to me. It blew my mind. I'm like, this is beautiful. This is the most beautiful. At first I thought, no, there's no way this is legal. They're like, no, it is. We do it all the time.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, so you mean you can basically flip a house without putting up any of your capital, without actually taking possession of the property, and you can make tens of thousands of dollars literally within like days? Like, yeah. I'm like, well, why don't you just do that? Like, well, we leave half the money on the table. We can make $70,000 on a flip. If we assign the deal, we're only making like 30, 35. I'm like, yeah, but your cash conversion cycles go way down. And the amount of time it takes you to one flip, you could wholesale 10 deals.
Exactly.
Instead of making 70,000, you can make 350,000. And then if you take the money out, is that the cash conversion cycles are going, you can keep on filling that back into marketing, and then the numbers just get insane. So I created this roadmap of how to scale the company to $1 million a month. And I don't think anyone in the country had done that yet. Back when I first started, wholesaling was not a big thing. Like right now it is. But back then, it was kind of like looked down on. It was kind of like one of these things like, oh, that's what noobs do when they get into the business, right? Like the real pros that have money, that have the construction expertise, that have the experience, they flip.
They'll get into the trenches, buy a house, put money into it, and then flip it for a profit.
100%.
And to zoom in, just because I know there's people watching that kind of want extra clarification, real estate wholesaling, correct me if I'm wrong, is basically the process of getting a home. Let's say a home's worth $500,000.
Yes.
And getting it under contract, which is an agreement for obviously a lower price. So let's say $400,000. And the reason, because most people go, well, why would somebody put their home in contract to sell it for $400,000 if they know its market value is $500,000? Is because of what the factors like it's a distressed property.
Yeah, I mean we're not.
Whatever.
We're not buying the nice houses. Like if you ever drive around a neighborhood, there's usually that one torn down, like really worn down house where like the grass hasn't been cut. There's tarps on the roof because the homeowner doesn't have money to repair the roof leaks.
Right.
And there's a bunch of junk on the lawn. And for whatever reason, like that person maybe they need to get out of the house, but to get out of the house, they might have to spend $50,000 in repairs to be able to sell it to a conventional buyer. Because conventional buyers do not buy worn down houses that need a lot of work because a lot of times the banks won't finance them, so you can't get loans on them. And you need to have tens of thousands of dollars and a lot of construction experience to be able to repair them and get them back up to good condition. So those are the types of homeowners that will sell, like fixed up, like looking brand new, like all the nice properties on Zillow is worth $500, but that's not where the property is right now. Okay.
So then you put it under contract for whatever, $400,000, $420,000, which is basically a paper agreement saying that they're willing to sell it for X price.
Yeah.
And a wholesaler who, let's say you're the property owner, you have the $500,000 house. I'm the wholesaler, and I get it under contract for $400,000. I then take that contract for 400,000, which I'm not personally buying, investing, allocating capital into, and I sell that to an investor at, let's say, for example, a markup of maybe whatever 420,000, 450,000. In which case, there's still that margin of value that the investor gets, right?
Yep.
So there's equity day one.
100%.
But and also the wholesaler makes money because he has the difference of the money. So if he bought it, or if he got it under contract for 400,000 and he sells it for 420,000, there's that profit right there, and that's called an assignment fee.
Assignment fee.
So that's kind of the model of wholesaling real estate.
Exactly.
Right?
And if you sold with a realtor anyways, you're going to pay a realtor commission. So it's kind of the same kind of idea. But we're basically like guaranteed that we're going to close at a certain time. Because let's say you want to sell your deal for your house for 400,000, you're going to need 30 days probably to move out. So in those 30 days, I'll go call all my construction expert friends and say, hey, I have this deal. Looks like a good investment opportunity. I'll give it to you for 425. And they just want to focus on just construction. They don't want to focus on chasing around trying to find the next deal. It takes too much time. So they'll say, okay, I'll take it for 425. You close. They close for 425. The homeowner gets their 400,000. I get 25,000 for putting the deals together.
So it's win-win-win.
Win-win all around.
The homeowner wins, the investor wins, and the real estate wholesaler wins.
Yes.
And everybody got the deal they wanted.
Yeah.
Yep.
When done right. There are some bad actors that take advantage of people in bad situations, which I do not support at all. So that's one of those things in this business too. There are a lot of bad actors that take advantage of people. I don't believe in that at all. I believe in just doing a fair deal, win all the way around, and if you just focus on that, then everyone benefits at the end.
And there's people making literally starting from zero. I know both of us have clients who've literally started from zero. What are the income opportunities that people have created for themselves with real estate wholesaling?
Well, what's insane about wholesaling is, so when you first get into real estate, if you're watching this and you're first getting into real estate, you're probably like where I was a few years ago, thinking, okay, I got to find a deal. I need construction expertise. I need money. I need all of that. Actually, if you focus on wholesaling, all you really need to focus on doing is learning how to market and find those off-market properties. And we filmed a ton of content this week on how to do that, which we're going to be posting on my YouTube channel.
Yes, sir.
100% free.
This guy actually flew us out here to Dubai, business class, put us up in a $20 million villa on the water just to film content. So, I mean, next level content coming soon.
That's going to be sick.
Make sure to follow this guy's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. You're about to see some epic stuff.
Yeah, we'll put some links.
Shameless plug.
Anyways,
back to what you're saying.
Appreciate it. But so you can focus on just the first part of that, right? And what's beautiful is that means you can get started basically flipping houses with zero construction experience and zero money. Okay. Now, ideally, there are some rules in some states where you do need to have the ability to close. So keep that in mind. So if you're going to wholesale, you should have some partner that could close on the deal, some money partner or hard money lender. That's a whole nother topic we can talk about offline. But you can start basically flipping houses, flipping contracts, creating these arbitrage option contracts on homes and wholesaling. Now, let me tell you about how big of an opportunity this is. You asked me this a second ago. How much money can people make? And if I'm watching this, I'm 20, 22, 25. Is this something that I could do?
Or any age, yeah.
Or any age, 30, 40,
whatever,
50, 60. We got people 18 all the way up to late 60s on our platform right now doing this business. The last call I did before I came here to Dubai was with a 22-year-old. And that 22-year-old, I asked him, how much did you make last month? He said, I did over $250,000 last month at 22 years old.
In a month.
That's 1 month.
Yeah, wow.
How insane is that?
That's crazy. And he had just started the business semi-recently, right?
Yeah, like within the last 24 months probably.
Wow, that's crazy.
We have guys that come on, Ahmed and Amir and all these guys.
Shout out to the Halali brothers.
Yeah, you guys are legit.
Yeah, shout out Art Sanchez, a lot of great dudes out there.
Yeah, they were in the business less than 8 months. They're doing $250,000 plus months, and we're going to scale them to over $1 million a month. The beautiful thing about wholesaling is it scales. Flipping doesn't scale. Remember with Express, as we started doing more deals, we started making less money. When you're wholesaling, because there's no construction restraints, you're just flipping paper basically, there's no limit on how many deals you can do, right? So I can go from 0 to 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 deals a month with a very small team and be making tens of thousands of dollars on every deal. It's way more scalable. I think it's the most beautiful business I've ever seen in my life. And also, without wholesalers, a lot of people crap on wholesalers. Without wholesalers, what happens is the neighborhoods, they start going to crap. Right, you need those wholesalers coming into neighborhoods looking for those distressed properties, and then bringing in the money, bringing the construction expertise to fix them up. If you don't have that, then neighborhoods start going to bad condition, and then you start getting crime coming in, drugs, all that stuff. So we help keep America beautiful.
I love that. Now, in terms of the software platform, you, in doing it, saw a hole in the market, right? You saw a problem because, it's one thing to get these deals, find these deals, there's scale to build team, recruit a sales team, right? Kind of build the operations. But that whole model only works if you can get people to actually buy the properties, right? It was called Dispo, right?
Yes.
Can you dig in a little bit about how you saw that problem in the market, and then how you guys ended up creating the software that ended up being a solution and blowing up the business?
Absolutely.
To that.
So again, the most profitable ideas are usually the ones where you're not trying to think of like the next $1 million idea. You just have a really big problem and you got to solve it. You solve it for yourself, and then you start thinking, maybe other people might have the same problem as me. So when I was working at that first company, we scaled $1 million a month in one market. But then what happens is eventually there's only so many deals in each market, right? So, we tried like doubling our market spend to see if we go from 1 million to 2 million in one market. It didn't really work that way. So we're like, okay, we got to start expanding to other markets. So we're thinking, hey, instead of doing $1 million a month in one market, let's do $5 million a month in 5 markets. So we tack on 4 more, and we think it's going to be just as easy as it was in our home market. And sure enough, we got our asses kicked real hard. Within 6 months, we're back in our home market, licking our wounds, asking, what the hell did we do so wrong?
And you go, what's the answer?
So the answer is, I literally thought about it for like 2-3 years after that. The problem we ran into was Dispo. In our home market, we had all the relationships. We knew how all the contractors and cash buyers, investors were in our market. So if we had a deal we wanted to sell, we could pick up the phone, call a couple guys, and we could sell that deal really, really quickly. We went to these other markets. We didn't have those buyers. We didn't have those relationships, right? It was really tough to go find who those top buyers were. And then there's also a lot of snakes out there in this business. They say they're going to buy the deal, and then they renege on it like the day before closing, or they try to come around and circumvent you on the deal, come behind you, screw you from the back. So we were just getting screwed over on deals. We were mispricing stuff, and not finding buyers for stuff. And what's interesting is I've had a lot of friends that also were trying to scale into multiple markets. They're running into the same issues. Corey Geary, based in Phoenix, I remember talking to him. Shout out to Corey, guys. Check out Corey Geary. I think he's got some YouTube stuff. Check him out on Instagram, all that. I remember we did a call last December, and he's like, dude, I almost bankrupted the business going nationwide. 70% of the deals that they put under contract, they were losing for dispo reasons, like all sorts of different reasons. So I started thinking about that problem, and then I was like, there's nothing out there. All the software out there in our business was for lead gen, CRM, everything on the buy side. There was literally 0 products on the dispo sell side. And so I was like, there's nothing out there. I just got to build something.
And that's where all the money's made, right? It's only made if something is sold at the end.
Yes, that's where you cash the checks.
So then you go, what do I do?
Yeah. So it's funny, actually. After 3 years at Express, I kind of I committed to the 3-year timetable. And so after 3 years, I'm like, okay, I'm leaving. I'm going to start my own business. But I was kind of burnt out from real estate. So I decided to do something completely different. I went for a moonshot and tried to build basically like a new data layer for the internet. We were pretty successful. I knew I was going to get a lot of money for it, so I built an insane team. Like I stole my CTO from the founder of the World Wide Web, Sir Tim Berners-Lee, like his CTO that ran this product. The guy literally found the World Wide Web. And we took his CTO from MIT, had him come off of his team and join our team. And so we built this rock star team. Our chief design officer is the lead designer for Lorraine Jobs, Steve Jobs' ex-wife, Gleb Kuznetsov. He's won top designer in the world like multiple times. So I built this rock star team, and we're going for this moonshot, and we knew we were going to need a lot of money. So we went out and did a roadshow and started hitting up all the biggest VCs, pitching them our idea and our team, and this is where the world is going, where the team's execute on. And we get this term sheet signed. This is literally like maybe 6 to 8 months in, we get a term sheet signed we were trying to raise $1 million. We got a term sheet signed with a VC to invest $5 million at a $15 million post-money valuation.
Wow.
So I'm thinking like, I remember when I quit and started, someone told me like, dude, starting a business is going to be the hardest thing you ever do in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like 8 months in, like cocky as hell, thinking like, dude, I just went to 15 million in 8 months.
Right.
This is easy.
Right.
Didn't work out that way.
Yeah. You were humbled.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what happens in business. And then what happens next?
So this VC, these VCs, they have what they call LPs, and those are the guys that give them money, big pension funds, things like that. Mm-hmm. And they'll have like fund 1, fund 2, fund 3, fund 4. So they're raising money for this new fund, next fund in their series. And they're like, yeah, we're going to have the fund close like, 2 months, and then we're going to be distributing all the investments. And we're like partying, celebrating, popping champagne bottles. Hey, we're worth 15 million. This is insane. We're gonna go to $1 billion. Like just like on cloud nine.
Living the
right?
dream
Living
before
the
it
dream.
happened. Yeah,
before it happened. And sure enough, like a couple days before closing, they call us up and they're like, "Hey, just want to let you know we had a slight problem with our lending partner. A little bit of falling out with them, but don't worry, we have another lending partner. They're gonna be coming in, and we're gonna be closing the deal. We just need another like 60 days." Mm-hmm. 60 days goes by, and they do the same thing again. Mm-hmm. And at this point, my bank account is so negative, and mm-hmm. I'm like maxed out all my credit cards, like mm-hmm. probably 50 G's in the hole on my mm-hmm. credit cards, like literally like swiping credit cards and like doing the credit card roulette. Like, is this one gonna work? Is this one gonna work? Like,
and at this time, you're married, you're trying to figure stuff out. You have expenses, you have teams, so pressure's on. It's not like you're home living with mom.
Insane.
Yeah.
And not only that, but when you go from like cloud 9, like feeling like you're on top of the world, to like that. Mm-hmm. That's really hard.
100 to 0. Yeah.
100 to 0. Okay, and this happens to every entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. If anyone says it doesn't, they're lying to you. This mm-hmm. is not going to just happen once. It's going to happen multiple times, many times. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, they'll give up and they'll go get that 9 to 5 and go back to the grind. But I didn't want to give up. And during the time where I was building this up, I had a few friends that had left the business to go work for other companies or doing it on their own. And I had a few that they would keep on calling me up like, "Hey, Robert, dude, our data, our tech sucks. Can you please come in and help us do what we did together at the last company? Mm-hmm. We need help with our data. We need help with our tech." And I kept on saying no, so I'm focused on this big thing I'm doing. I don't have time for it. But at this point, I'm like, dude, I just got to do whatever I can do to get some money in. Mm-hmm. And I was trying not to think about real estate, but in the back of my mind, I had this idea for basically InvestorLift. Mm-hmm. And it was like I couldn't turn it off. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting there with like no money in my pocket. I had to pay my engineers the next day. And when you're a CEO, you kind of got to carry it, so you don't like convey it to the team. It's just like, mm-hmm. no, you're going to find a way to get people paid, mm-hmm. get people paid on time. So I call up my buddy and I say, "Hey, you still need help?" He's like, "Yes." I'm like, "Let's meet at your office tomorrow." Mm-hmm. And so I met at his office the next day, and we signed the first deal to build basically InvestorLift. And it was for $35,000 for the initial MVP, which was basically like you could post a deal on a website. It was very, very basic. Mm-hmm. But I structured that contract pretty well. I knew that, if I run out of money again, I might need to go sell this thing again. Mm-hmm. So the way I structured the deal is I said, "I'll build it for you. I'll give you a really good deal on it, but I own all the IP." Mm-hmm. Meaning if I want to sell it again, I have the rights. So you have the right to use the first version in perpetuity, but I own all the IP. Mm-hmm. And we built it for that company, and that company, they were doing, I think, like $100,000 to $150,000 a month. Not too bad. I think they were like 4 or 5 person team at the time. We launched this product with them. The first 5 months, they broke $1 million a month.
Wow.
Now I'm thinking,
a month.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking, okay, now we're 2 for 2. I think we have something here. Mm-hmm. And then 6 months later, you know how much they broke 6 months later?
How much?
6 months later, they broke $2 million a month.
Wow.
I think probably the first company in America to break $2 million a month in assignment fees. So now like this whole business of like wholesaling is for noobs, like that's out the window now. Mm-hmm. We're making more money in a month than most flippers make in a year. Mm-hmm. We invented mega wholesaling
with no operational drag, streamlined teams,
streamlined, super lean, paper,
and you're building value, win across the board.
100%. So then it got me thinking, okay, I sold it for $35,000 already built. What could I sell it for now because now we're running out of money again. It took a while to build, so I'm back down to zero a few months later, and I'm like, okay, but it's built now. Let's see how much I can sell it for. So then I go to another company, and I try to sell it to them, and I'm like, maybe I can get like, if I could get 50 grand for it, that would be huge. So I asked for like 100. Yeah, you got a high anchor, and we work our way back and forth, and then I think we closed that deal at 65. And dude, when I sold that contract, I remember Eliza was behind camera here. She was in the car.
It's a wife. Shout out Eliza.
I remember it like yesterday. We left the Chick-fil-A parking lot.
Yeah.
She was driving. I was sitting in the right-hand seat, and the CEO of the company calls me, and he says, "Hey, I want to let you know I just signed the contract and wired the funds. Congratulations! I'm really excited to do business with you." And that aha moment, I just made $65,000 selling something that's already built. Like I don't need to do hardly anything. Like we had to do a little bit of setup and stuff, but like I just took something that is digital and I sold it for more money than I made the first year working a 9 to 5. My first year working, my salary was $55,000 plus bonuses. And then with bonuses and everything, I made $65,000 about, right around $65,000. And then on one contract, I sold a piece of software for $65,000. It was just like, that's when you have a mind shift.
Yeah.
You're like, damn, software is powerful.
Yeah.
The digital game is super powerful.
Yeah, because arguably you could have built software and done what most people do, sell it for $9.99 a month, $100 a month, X fee a month, but you weren't selling the tool, you were selling the utility of the tool. You're selling the list, right? So for them, it's easy, justifiable ROI because one or two deals more than multiple X's their investment in perpetuity for them, their team, exactly. It would cost them more in time, effort, and energy than the money they invest into it.
Yeah, I always tell people, like most companies that come on, they make their money back in the first 30 days. And I always say 100% money back guarantee. If you're not 10xing your investment, I don't want your money. I'll wire it back to you 2 seconds. Like, because you should be able to freaking crush it.
And what is InvestorLift for people watching going, what does this software actually do? It sounds exciting, sounds interesting. Like specifically, what does it do?
Yeah, so if you're a wholesaler and you're trying to branch into multiple markets, the most important thing, again, you can get the properties under contract, do all this work, finding these deals, get them under contract, but then you got a small time frame to go sell those deals and find a buyer. Let's say the deal we're talking about earlier, you want to sell for 400, I put it under contract. Now we're going to go find someone that's willing to pick up that contract for 420, 425 or whatever and close within the 30-day agreement, that period that we have. And a lot of times it's shorter. Sometimes people want to close in 5 days. They just want out fast. So you need to be able to find cash buyers really fast. And now, the old way of doing that was basically just like spam. Like just spam every like realtor that had done a cash transaction, go on software like PropStream, download all the tax record data for anyone that had bought anything cash. That's really, really slow because like just because someone buys something cash doesn't mean they're a real estate investor.
True, yeah.
Like a lot of Middle Easterns, Asians, people like that, they buy everything cash. So like it's really, really slow, really, really difficult. So I was trying to think of a way of, okay, how could we go build something where we could go anywhere in the country and with one click find out who the biggest real estate investors are in that area, and then instead of spending sometimes weeks and weeks trying to hopefully like pray that we find someone, spamming thousands of people, we could just make 5 or 6 calls and go sell the deal. So what we did is, first of all, we built a deal platform almost like Zillow, like a website where you can showcase all your deals, have photos, videos, all of that, and people can bid on deals, just kind of like eBay. You can make a bid. Or if you want, you can click buy it now, just buy, end the auction and win the deal. So that's the front end. And that was kind of like the first version. But then where the real power comes in on the data side of things. On the data side of things, what we did is we basically built, I kind of got inspired by Facebook a little bit on this one. Facebook, most people don't know this, but a buyer told me, he said, did you know that Facebook has profiles for every American regardless of whether they signed up for Facebook? Like pretty much as soon as you're born, they build a profile for you, because their whole philosophy is if we don't have you yet, we're eventually going to get you. And all these like free apps and stuff you sign up, for, they're all mining your data on your interests, your likes. When you go on a free dating website and you fill out those like questionnaires, like what's your favorite food, and like all that data is being sold. That's why those apps are free, right? Because they're making money selling the data. So Facebook will buy all this and build these ghost profiles. So as soon as Omar signs up for Facebook, we know his likes, we know his interests, we know he likes Ferraris, we know he likes watches, whatever. He's an entrepreneur. And then they can start monetizing you by showing you relevant ads day one, okay? So kind of a creepy big brother, but I was thinking about, I'm like, that's kind of a creepy big brother, but imagine if we had profiles for every single real estate investor in America. All the deals they'd done, what they bought them for, when they sold them for, when they bought them, when they sold them, how long they held them for. And then what if we layered on something almost like a credit score on top of that, where every buyer in America has a score, and we're monitoring and rescoring all these buyers, just like a credit score, where then when I have a deal I want to sell, I can pop into InvestorLift on a map, see all the deals that have happened around my property, and then I can filter by buyer score if I want to, and just find those top investors, have their cell phone numbers or emails right there in the system, give them a call, and instead of having to spam thousands of people, I can sometimes sell deals in minutes. There's a funny TikTok we did. We're at, Cody Sperber. We're at his office in Phoenix, and we're trying to teach them the system. They're like, hey, could we just like sell a deal together? So I didn't know this, but Dimitri set a timer on his phone when we started, and I think it was like 11 minutes and 13 seconds. We had the deal sold, and I think the assignment fee was over $30,000.
Wow.
In 11 minutes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So like, it became over this year, it's become the most powerful real estate investing tool in the history of real estate investing.
So in one sentence, what would you say the problem it solved is?
Selling your deals faster at higher prices. That's it. You make more money per deal. You sell them with less work, way faster.
And this works nationally too, right? Anywhere in the country.
Anywhere in America.
Have profiles for real estate investors, and it's win-win because real estate investors want to be on the platform so that people reach out to them because they have the capital, they have the willingness to buy, and then you have wholesalers or real estate, people who are wholesaling these properties who are incentivized to actually go on the platform. So it's like win-win. It's not a business model where you're forcing anything down anybody's throat. It's a natural vertical integration between the needs of the wholesaler, the needs of the investor. You're just connecting them together through a software solution.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. And one question I have to ask is, did you know how to code? Did you know how to build a software? Or for you, was it about team building?
Yeah.
Now, switching to the entrepreneur side, a lot of people I'm sure watching this are like, holy shit, that's brilliant. But how did you know how to put it on a map, collect investors, get millions of, right? Like put this all together.
Yeah.
What advice do you have to entrepreneurs out there about that?
When you first get started on anything, you're not going to know what the end is going to look like. Okay? But you're going to have an idea of the direction you want to go. And you're going to have kind of this fuzzy picture of like, here's kind of what it's going to look like. No one's going to know all the steps that are going to get you there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clarity comes from action, not thought. Yeah.
This is why I think business plans in the tech world are a freaking joke. Like I remember when we first got started, actually this was last year. We were running out of money last year before we launched publicly, because it was like we were just selling secretly up until last March. It was just like for me and my friends, and we were keeping the whole thing secret because we're like, as soon as it goes public, people are gonna know about it. And we're running out of cash. So I was like, maybe I'll take some small investments. And I go to this one investor, and he's like, yeah, I want your like 5-year business plan and pro forma financials. I'm like, dude, you have no freaking idea. Like in the startup game, you're going to be pivoting literally on a weekly basis based on the new information you get. That's how fast it is. So you start heading in some direction, and as you head in that one direction, you're going to be getting more information, and then you're going to be pivoting, learning new things as you go. The most important thing is talking to your customers. I try to have 50 to 100 conversations with my customers every single week. And then the feedback that I get from them, I'm finding out what their needs are. And when I hear the same thing from 20 people in a week, I'm like, okay, this is what we need to do. And it's going to be like that with any business you start. Just keep on talking to your customers, find out what their needs are, find out what their problems are, and then just build your products to address those needs. And that's how you're going to have a freaking viral product. Like when we launched, I knew people were going to like it. So we kept it secret for like the first year or so, while we were kind of iterating on it, building it up. And we started running out of money, so I was like, oh shit, we gotta launch this thing publicly. We opened it up last February, and I was like, I needed 35 grand to like get the company back in the green for the next month. So I'm like, I just gotta do 35 grand on this webinar. We had about 150 people on. And the thing is, when you do webinars and stuff, there's always this fear in your head, like, what if I get 0? Like, what if everyone just doesn't like it, or I suck and I like don't sell it, or no one needs it? So I'm thinking, like, hopefully we get 35 grand, but there's a good possibility like we get 0, in which case, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to sign up for Uber or something. Like, literally, the thought went through my head. Like
you literally told me
I'm sure I ran a Google search, like, how much does an Uber driver make? Like, I'm sure it's in my search history there somewhere. Because it was kind of like, this launch has got to go well, or we're kind of, our goose is cooked. So Nick Perry calls me up. He's like, dude, you got to get on a webinar with Dan Schwartz. He's gonna be a really good person for this, because his group is very experienced. You know, they're doing 3 to 5 plus deals per month. Perfect for your system. So I got this webinar. There's 150 people on. Okay, and in the first hour we sell 144,000.
Wow.
I'm sitting there on the webinar with like negative $5 grand in my bank, and my phone, it would like vibrate every single time I got a sale, and single time I got a sale, it was 6 grand,
Bing,
6
bing,
grand.
bing,
Or getting towards the webinar, it's like bing, 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 bing. I'm just like trying to like keep my composure. And I get off. I told Liza, I'm like, dude, we just sold 144,000 in 1 hour, life changing. And then we put up the replays. A couple of people shared the replays, and we did $1.8 million in the first 30 days. I literally went from broke, negative 5,000, thinking like, people are going to like this. I hope people like this. I knew we had the track record of success, but you never know. Could be a flop. Negative 5,000, thinking like, do I need to go join Uber just to like pay my credit card enough to buy groceries? To 30 days later, having $1.8 million of cash in the bank. That's how fast your life can change.
Holy cow.
If you're watching this and you're struggling, don't give up. You don't fail until you give up. There's a really good book, Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. Have you read that book?
Of course, yeah.
The story of Nike and how many times they almost died. And the competition was trying to kill them. They even got the government in it. Like, that story is insane. But Phil Knight always says, you don't fail until you give up. And a lot of times, people quit right before they're about to hit it big. And if there's any time that I was thinking about quitting, it was probably about a year ago, where I'm already in this for like 2 years, maxed out credit cards, $50,000 probably in personal credit card debt, plus business credit card debt, and the bank balance is negative, and I'm like so close. And I'm just like, okay, just throw it out there. One last Hail Mary.
Yeah.
And then 30 days later, then my entire life changes.
It worked. Wow.
Now we're out here in Dubai. We rented $4 million of cars this week.
$4 million of cars. We got 2 Ferraris, 2 Lamborghinis, 2 Rolls Royce, a Bentley, a G-Wagon, a McLaren. I'm sure cars I'm forgetting, helicopter rides. It's just been bonkers.
Yeah. And you know the crazy thing is, I logged into my bank this morning to go see. I was like, man, my bank balance is going to be pretty low. Paid off the credit card, and we actually made more money while we're here than we spent.
If you don't mind sharing, how much ballpark was this total?
How much did we spend? I think when I paid off my credit card, it was $170,000, and we did. That was like a few days ago. Dimitri paid it off.
Yeah.
So I think we're probably like close to 200 grand.
And this is going to the Burj Khalifa, the world's highest restaurants, the highest infinity pool in the world. I mean, nonstop, back to back to back stuff. Which again, if you guys follow Robert, you'll see in a lot of his content coming out soon.
You got to live life to 11. That's the thing.
11 out of 10.
11 out of 10.
Shout out to Luigi.
Luigi,
come on here.
He's filming right now.
Yeah, if Luigi comes on here, you'll see we all got tats.
Hop
on
show us
behind
a
the
tat.
scenes. Check this out.
Check this out.
So committed to life. This
So
is
committed.
Luigi.
It literally
Luigi makes the magic happen.
Literally tattooed 11 out of
10. That's Robert's motto on this whole trip.
That's my whole motto. 11 out of 10. Anything you do, anything you build, anything you do in life, first of all, focus on what the few things that you are really passionate about that really matter. Say no to everything else. Say no to 99%. Find that 1%. And when you find that 1%, do everything at 11 out of 10.
I love that. Body excellence, my man. Also, I wanted to ask, in your experience with business, what has been the most, I guess, the thing you anticipated the least about being on this side of success? Whereas like a year ago or more, you would have dreamed about, making, a 1.8 million in 30 days or whatever it is. I'm sure there was a time where you wouldn't even believe it was real life. Being on this side of the fence, when, not too long ago you were on the other side of it, what advice would you give to the Robert that was on the other side thinking, man, is this ever going to happen? Is this going to work? Because in a parallel world, that's the men or women who are watching this or listening to this with the dream in their heart, but they're probably in that Uber position,
Right.
so to speak. What advice do you have to them, which would be the younger version of you trying to figure it out?
You gotta stay focused. You gotta stay focused, and you gotta take massive action. Just keep on taking massive action. And I think one thing that was really pivotal to me actually was, so the month before we launched and had that really successful launch, I actually talked to a couple of people. I remember talking to my brother-in-law. He had broken $1 billion valuation on his company the month before. Literally the month before. So like he just hit $1 billion.
And you're negative 5,000 in the
I'm
bank.
negative 5,000. I'm like, what the hell? I always was like, I'm going to be a millionaire by the time I'm 30.
Right.
And then I just turned 30, February 21st. So I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Like,
Yeah.
I just got to do this.
Yeah.
So got some advice from him, and then I also got some advice. I remember doing a call with Mark Evans. Shout out to Mark Evans. That guy's a beast, one of the smartest guys out there. Check him out if you haven't. I think he's like Original Deal Maker or something like that on Instagram. So I talked to Mark Evans, and literally we were supposed to be on a call for like 15 minutes. He had talked to me for like 2-3 hours, just ripped apart my entire business model and rebuilt it like over the course of this call. Gave me a lot of advice, and then when we went to launch and we introduced this new version of the product, I was thinking about a lot of the advice that he gave. He's built multiple companies to millions, tens of millions. So the advice I have is, if you're not on the other side of the fence yet, go find people that are and talk to them, because that's the biggest shortcut. In business, you don't want to do things the hard way. Go find shortcuts. Go talk to people, because here's the thing. The guys that have already done it, that are on this side of the fence, they remember what it was like to be on the other side of the fence, and they want to give back. Like, I have conversations with people every day that are trying to get to the side of the fence where, you have money to be able to do whatever you want. And I give them honest feedback and advice anytime I can, because
Success leaves clues.
yeah, because other people did it for you. Anyone that gets there, other people help them get there. No one does it on their own.
Right.
So once you get there, you're gonna kind of pay it forwards and return the favor to the next generation.
And why reinvent the wheel? Success
Don't
leaves
reinvent it.
clues, iterate from there.
Yeah, 100%.
Dude, I love that. Lastly, I wanted to ask, when you kind of look back on your journey, what are some of the things you wish you would have done differently, done sooner? Just so that we can kind of impart that wisdom to people who are watching this going, dang, I want to be the next Robert Wensley of my life, or I want to start that company, or I want to do this thing. What are some of the things you had to mentally shift, or looking back, you're like, I for too long hung on to this model, or, what, any things like that kind of pop out as I ask that?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest mistakes I made when I first got started is trying to do everything on my own, right? Like, in
100%.
entrepreneurship, we're like, a lot of people that are successful entrepreneurs, like, we have big egos. We typically
Right.
come in
It's
just
all
think
me. Yeah,
we
yeah.
could do everything better than everyone else.
Right.
I remember, like, when I was first getting started, I was literally writing code myself, which is like insanity, because I'm like, my co-founder is like one of the top software engineers in the entire world. Dimitri, shout out to Dimitri.
Shout out to
Absolutely
Dimitri.
insane.
He's
Yeah.
awesome.
And and I was doing the bookkeeping, I was doing, freaking everything, and trying to hold on to everything, customer support, literally every single aspect of the business I was trying to do myself. And it's a huge mistake. I see a lot of entrepreneurs who are trying to start companies, and they're trying to start companies as a solo entrepreneur. If you're trying to do that, look at the stats on success rates with solo entrepreneurs. It's not that great. It's not that great. There's too much to handle, and also too much stress, too much pressure. And the thing is, when you're an entrepreneur, you're going to go on roller coasters. You're going to have your highest highs you've ever had in your entire life. You're going to have the lowest lows you've ever had in your entire life. You have no idea. Like, when shit goes down, like it's gonna hit you really hard. So you need to have multiple people, because when you're up and they're down, you can balance each other off. So like we're constantly, pulling each other back up, leveling it up,
Yin and yang, yeah.
yin and yang, keeping each other balanced, and you got to have that dynamic, and you got to have more than one person working on your team. You got to start just think about everything you need to get done in your business, and find people that are the best in the world to go do those things for you, and think of creative ways that you can bring them in. Even if you have no money. Like I remember when Dimitri, I was trying to get Dimitri to come on as my engineer, and he's like, yeah, I'm interested, but like I'm gonna be doing a lot of the work, you're gonna be selling, but like I gotta build all this stuff. So I gave him half the company. I said, let's go 50-50 then. And people are like, well, that's really expensive for a CTO. I'm like, it's not a CTO, it's a co-founder. He actually does more work than me. For the engineering side of things, it's a lot more work. I just do, sales and vision. Like, if I work 5 hours a day, really focused in a day, I can achieve a lot. I could do 150,000 sales in 4 or 5 hours. Dimitri, it's just nonstop. There's always a new feature. So
And
don't be afraid.
all that,
Don't be afraid of giving pieces of the pie, because when you get the right people, the entire pie is going to get so much bigger. It's not going to be matter. So many people are like, oh, I don't want to give up a percentage because it comes out of my pie. And then they get stuck with this tiny little pie. Who cares if you have 100% of a tiny little pie, right? I'd rather have 1% of freaking Amazon than have 100% of a $10 million company, So just think about who you can bring on that's going to make that pie bigger. And don't think about just team members, but also advisors, ancillary team, okay? People around you that are going to be supporting your business as well. One of the biggest things we did was having an affiliate program for our customers. So when our customers come on, they crush it, they can spread the word to their friends that are also in the business. And as a result of that, we sold millions this year. Millions. You know how much we spent on marketing?
How much?
Zero. We didn't spend $1 single on marketing.
Wow. That's crazy. And one thing I found fascinating, having been here for 2.5 weeks and helping you with a lot of your video content and kind of working with you behind the scenes and getting to know you, is like, it's like you handle your lane of stuff.
Yes.
And then you have somebody handling the tech side of stuff with Dimitri. You have your wife as the COO handling like other operational stuff. So every genius kind of works on their vertical. And the classic expression, the sum of the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
Yes.
I think that's one huge takeaway that I got to see behind the scenes this trip, because you probably would admit that had you not been courageous enough to invest and not be afraid to share equity and all that you probably couldn't have done this as smart as you are, whatever.
There's no way.
Do you think you could have even done a fraction of the success you had if you weren't afraid to put
if I didn't have
people
Dimitri, if I didn't have Eliza, I'd be up the creek. And
You'd be our Uber driver in Dubai.
I might be in there Uber driver right now. Now, it's interesting you picked up on this. This is like a core thing on our team, is like we each own our department and have very specific set of responsibilities. Eliza's in charge of the entire customer success team. She's in charge of making the customers happy. Dimitri's in charge of the engineering team. Anything engineering, product related, he's responsible for it. Kirill here is in charge of, he's also back here, he's in charge of QA, quality assurance, making sure that the product is stable, there's no bugs. And then I'm in charge of making sure that we're swiping credit cards every day and shaping the vision of the product. Anything sales or product feature related, designing where we're going with the product, and then selling it to customers. I'm responsible for. Now, what's interesting is, this is a funny story. When we came here, so I actually flew my entire engineering team out here. They stayed with us for the first couple of weeks, just as kind of a thank you, because these guys just worked their asses off so hard this year. And when you met my engineering team, that was the exact same time that I met them.
Wow. Yeah, so this is the first time you actually met them.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
So Dimitri, I just trust Dimitri so well to run that engineering team. Like, he just says, hey, I need 2 more engineers. I'm like, okay, how much money do you need? I need our whatever 1,000 per month. I'm like, okay, you got it. But a lot of engineers on my team, I had never even met them before. That was literally the first time. But I know he's going to run that entire department. On customer support, I know Eliza's going to run that whole department. Stuff only ever gets escalated to me if it's like goes through like 5 different channels first. And you got to have that dynamic. So
And you weren't afraid to invest in people early on. Like, one question I have for you is like, when do you think is the right time for people to start investing in a team? Because even when you didn't have money, when you were negative $5,000 in your bank account considering Uber, I'm sure at that time it was like you were more willing to pay somebody to help you with something than you were to keep it for yourself or hang on to what you got, right?
Oh yeah, no, I was using personal credit cards to like pay for business shit all the time, just like keep it afloat. Like you just, if you're gonna go all in, you just go all in.
I love that.
You know,
11
like,
out of 10. Yeah.
11 out of 10.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Hell yeah, man. Well, yeah, dude, I love this. This was great. And last thing I want to ask is if people want to sign up for InvestorLift, if they're interested, whether they're real estate investors, wholesalers, you know, what are the different options you guys offer and where can people learn more? I know we'll plug a link in the description below.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can give a little context on that.
Yeah, so I'll talk about who the product's for. If you're just getting started in real estate investing and you haven't done a deal before, it's not going to be the right fit for you. You should be spending your money on marketing and on getting your first deal, your first 2, your first 3 deals. That's where you get the highest return on investment. Once you start doing 3 to 5 deals a month, that's where it really makes sense to get our product, where like you're definitely going to get 100% return on investment like right away, sometimes your first day. So if you're doing at least 3 to 5 deals per month, it is a good fit for you. If you're not doing that volume, don't buy it yet, okay? Some people don't listen to me on this, but I'm telling you, you're better off spending your money on marketing to get to 3 to 5 faster, and then once you're there at 3 to 5, that's kind of where it's really going to make sense for you.
And real quick, what's the average assignment fee?
The average assignment fee, so last year, we sold over $1 billion of homes, and the average assignment fee was $36,000. Now, what's interesting is the average assignment fee of a company coming on is less than $20,000. And once they come on, we see their assignment fees start increasing because, again, we're selling deals faster at higher prices by driving demand for them. So imagine going from $20,000 deal to $36,000 deal. It's almost twice as much money while doing the same amount, if not less work per deal. Yeah. That's the real power in it. So we're actually created a link special for people that are subscribers and followers and are watching this interview. The link is going to be get.investorlift.com/passion. Okay, that's get.investorlift.com/passion. And then what we're also going to do is we're going to hook you up. Anyone that's watching this, I didn't even tell Omar about this, but we're going to also do a discount code for you guys, 10% off your first year. The base plan, the entry-level plan for guys that are just getting started, starts at only $479 a month, and you knock 10% off that. It does bill annually up front, okay, because we want people that are really serious and want to make the commitment. 100% money back guarantee. If you come on and it doesn't work out for you, just let us know. We'll be happy to wire the money back. But type in the coupon code once you get on that page, PASSION. That'll knock 10% off. And then what we're also going to do is if you come on and you jump on an onboarding call, I usually do onboarding calls every Tuesday and Thursday. If you come on an onboarding call and you just let me know that you watched this interview, I'm going to hook you up with some insane welcome gifts. Okay, we're going to hook you up with some skip tracing credits, texting credits, some buyers lists, a bunch of different stuff. We're going to hook you up with, but just let me know on your onboarding that you watched this interview and we'll hook you up with that.
And share it with a friend if they haven't seen it so that they can participate in that as well.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. And then what are the 2 options that you guys offer for the tiers of?
Yeah, so there's 3 different tiers. So everyone starts off on Pro, so that's $479 a month. Okay, and that gives you the tools to basically see who all the buyers are, all scored by buyer score, things like that. On that plan, you're skip tracing buyers though, and you're finding their phone numbers. You're doing a little bit of work. You're actually building your buyers list. Once you get to $100,000 a month in assignment fees, we have a plan above that where it comes with 850,000 profiles fully built out, complete with phone numbers, emails, and you can literally click a button. When you have a deal, you can literally click a button and just text and email that deal out to all the buyers in that area. And at the very highest level, we have what we call cartel level. And cartel level, so the lieutenant level is $25,000 a year. Okay, you qualify for that once you're doing $100,000 a month. Once you get to $250,000 a month, then there's cartel level, and cartel level is insane because it actually comes with 3.4 million fully built out profiles directly in the software
Of real estate investors.
Yeah. Wow. Pretty much every single buyer in America is in that data set.
And what's cool is that they refer to them as cartel bosses.
Yes.
And there's only a select few of them. So I think
50
you guys,
seats.
Yeah, 50 seats, and you guys have a trip coming up to Dominican and a bunch of cool
It's
stuff.
gonna be insane.
So it's an all-out awesome platform and experience. The anti-mastermind, you call it.
Anti-mastermind.
Right?
Yeah, I always hated school. I hate when you go to these masterminds and it's just like you feel like you're sitting in class all day. There's some guy on the stage like trying to sell you something, and like I always hated those. So I'm like, you want to be more powerful. Like these guys already are the top real estate investors in the world. Instead of trying to like, do presentations and shit, let's just all have really good experiences together, so we can build the relationships. So by the time someone comes back from one of our events, they're family. And anytime, like I told you earlier this week, I'm like, Omar, like there's a few people where like, if for whatever reason I was arrested, I need someone to make my bail, like I'm calling Omar, vice versa. If you called me up, you're like, yo, Rob, I'm in Thailand in a prison. I need you to bail me out. I'll be on a plane, no questions asked, come bail your ass out.
So it's a crew of ride or dies.
Ride or die. And you got to have those really strong relationships especially when you're an entrepreneur, because what we do is not normal. And a lot of times it's hard to relate with, when you're working kind of at this level, it's difficult to have conversations sometimes with people about this stuff. But when you're talking to other people that are in the game as well, and they have the same challenges, they've gone through those freaking roller coasters, like
they get it. Yeah.
They get it. And you got to surround yourself with those people. That's one of the best ways to level up.
I love it, man. Well, thanks so much, Robert. It's been incredible coming on. I feel like I asked you everything. One bonus question I have is, what made you want to really start blowing up your brand, growing your brand? And I know it's a trend with a lot of entrepreneurs, but I'm curious because you found our work. We not only have become friends, but you become a client. We have a lot of the same clients. We serve a lot of the same people, and it's been awesome getting to connect with you in synergy and contribute to philanthropic things that we're both involved in and stuff. And I'm curious, what made you really want to A, build your brand, and B, trust us to kind of help you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we mentioned earlier, I haven't spent a single dollar on marketing. My whole philosophy was it would be better to take the money that we spend on marketing and throw it all into making the product better. And if we just make the product the best in the world, people are going to love it, word of mouth will spread, and people are going to sign up, and that's like, every day you see, I'll show you on my phone, there's like 2 to 5 people signing up on Autopilot every day, and it's growing and growing and growing. I'm trying to apply kind of the same kind of strategy to content, instead of, we're like, oh, why don't you put out a course? I'm like, dude, my software is already really expensive. I would rather just put out a ton of free content out there, teach people how to get to 3 to 5 deals per month. And if I can teach them how to do that and change their life, then I know they're going to buy my software, number one. And number 2, they're going to be customers for life. They're not going anywhere. I showed Luigi this the other day. Yes, I think it was yesterday, the day before yesterday. 3 companies in one day broke 100,000 per month for the first time in one day.
Yes.
And like that just gets me so jazzed up. So my other thing is, and it's funny, we're talking with some of your buddies, Amir and like all those guys down in Phoenix, and
Lolly Bros.
Yeah, all those guys, and we're at dinner together, and he's like, dude, your social media does not match who you are as a person. Like, you gotta start putting out content there. I'm like, yeah, but like I'm already doing well with business and everything. He's like, yeah, but you have so much knowledge you could share. Like you're robbing the world of something you could offer them, unless you like go out there and start sharing that. And I have people hitting me up asking to do video content for me like literally every single week. But you didn't at this level in business, you're only going to do business with people that you like, know, and trust, or are referred to you by other people you like, know, and trust. And here's another funny story. Before I even knew who you were, so multiple people referred me to you. They're like, yo, you gotta check out Omar for content. Omar's the best. But then I didn't click that you were Omar from The Passionate Few. It didn't click. And the funny thing is, before I even knew who you were, I was a subscriber to your channel. I had watched Manny's interview, not once, but twice.
Shout out Manny Coachman.
Shout out Manny. Yeah, we got to go rip some Ferraris around next time I'm in California.
Yeah.
I
We're actually shooting with him.
Yeah.
Doing some content for him in a couple of days.
Yeah. You got to say hi. Yeah, so I was a really big fan of all your work, and just seeing that you had done all this incredible work for some of the greatest entrepreneurs in the entire world, number one, but then also companies so recommended from all of my really close friends and clients. It's like, it's a no-brainer, absolute no-brainer.
Yeah, man, I will really appreciate that, and we really appreciate this incredible trip. And I think you're right. I think one of the things that we see a lot, and why our video production agency really loves helping entrepreneurs, is that a lot of entrepreneurs have big businesses, but the size of their brand isn't congruent with the size of their business.
Exactly, yeah.
And so the elegant marriage of the two is the unlimited income potential, business opportunity, that building a brand can help you sort of scale in perpetuity for the long term, versus just sort of renting ad space where as soon as you stop spending ad dollars, it's gone. That's something that's just become incredibly fulfilling. And I think also too, it's why every entrepreneur in the space that does well, that's the first thing they do nowadays.
100%.
They go, okay, cool, how do I magnify what I'm doing so that I don't have success, and then it just sort of fizzles away. But they can leverage it, create programs, build an audience, educate people, maybe sell their own programs or softwares or whatever it is. You know? So honored to do business with you, and I don't think I have a crazier client.
11 out of 10, baby.
11 out of 10, baby.
Yeah. I'm so pumped for all this stuff to come out. We filmed some insane content this week. Just everything was literally 11 out of 10.
Including pranking his wife, Eliza.
Pranking my wife.
Sorry, Eliza. If you guys want to watch that video, you can click somewhere on the screen right here.
If she lets us post it, I hope. It was freaking insane. Best prank ever. We planned it all day long. Sorry, Eliza, but hopefully she lets us post it. But yeah, we're going to post tons and tons of killer content. I'm literally not going to hold anything back. I'm going to show exactly how we scale companies from $0 to $1 million a month. Put out literally everything I know out there. And then another thing we're going to start doing is we're going to start doing live calls, probably at least once a week, where we can just have people call in. I'm just literally just going to try to coach as many people as we can, get as many entrepreneurs to $1 million a month as possible over the next few years, and just have everyone out living the Dubai 11 out of 10 lifestyle. So yeah, we'll link to all that down below.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. Make sure to smash that subscribe button, like, comment, let us know what questions you want us to ask Robert. You can also follow him in the description below, as well as check out InvestorLift with the coupon code PASSION. Plus, if you guys are interested in blowing up your brand, there's links for all that in the description below. But with no further ado, I want to encourage you guys to live strong, live with passion, and like Robert says, live that InvestorLift 11 out of 10 lifestyle, baby.
11 out of 10, baby.
See you guys in the next episode.
Thanks, Omar.
Thanks so much, Robert. Appreciate you. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video here on the channel. And also, I wanted to let you know that if you'd like to learn even more about how to grow your brand or business on YouTube from some of the tips and strategies you may hear here and there on these calls, you can check out the link in the description below to join our 100% free Facebook group, where you can learn all of the 6, 7, and 8-figure strategies that experts around the world are using to grow their brand, influence, and business using YouTube. The simple way, not the complex way with organic video. Also, if you'd like to work with our team and you're like, you know what, I want to find out more, you can click the link below, book a call, and see how we can help you grow your brand and business on YouTube. The easy way, not the complex way. All right, guys, that's it. With no further ado, again, make sure to like, subscribe, listen to a future video. Until then, live strong, live with passion. See you in the next video.